Hey everybody, welcome back to the video. So today we're going to be learning about CSS colors. So let's get started. So basically in my previous videos I explained about colors and stuff like basic CSS, and I included colors in that too. So we're going to be learning about more about that colors today. So basically today we're going to be working on this index.css right there. So first of all, what we're going to do is I'm just going to do right now I'm just going to do in the index.css because I already linked it right here. So yeah. And now what we're gonna do inside this is we're basically gonna have colors. So I already created a document right here. So this is the place where I have. So we are gonna be learning about RGB, basically red, the mix of red, green, and blue, and the hex value or hexadecimal code for colors, and hsl, basically a hue, saturation, and lightness. And these are both the same kind of thing which we learned here or we saw right here, and it's kind of like extension to it. So this is rbga, basically it's going to include alpha too. And this is the hsl, which we saw right here. And now we're just going to be adding a word called alpha to these both. So rgba and hsla. So that's how these both works. So we're going to be learning about that. And all these colors are basically red since I like red. So yeah. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to our index.html. We're going to have an h1 tag just saying hello, and we're gonna be customizing this using this RGB and stuff. Yeah. And first of all, what we're gonna do is we're gonna customize, since it's an h1 tag, we want to do that. There we go. So now inside this I'm gonna have a property called background color. If you want, you can keep color too, it doesn't really matter, but I'm just gonna put background color so that you guys can see a lot. And now let me just go ahead and do this real quick. Okay, so let's go ahead and rewrite this because it's just showing. Okay, yeah. Now what we are gonna do is we are basically gonna take this. So the syntax for this is RGB, and then you're gonna have these parentheses, and that's how this thing works. And since it's red, we want it to be fully red, right? So we're gonna do 255. 0% green and 0 as blue. So that's gonna be taking us to red. So let's go and hover right there. There we go. So that's a real, if you're using VS Code, it kind of gives us off right there, RGB, and then it's gonna give us that. So that's how this thing works. And that's pretty much it about this background color. So let's go ahead and open with live server and see our output. And as I said, you can use colors to it, really doesn't matter. So I'm just gonna show you guys after this with color. So there we go, it appears was red. So yeah. Now what we can do is I'm just gonna have a color right here instead of background. And there we go, so that works too. But I'm just gonna keep background color so that we can see easily and stuff. So yeah. So that's how this RGB works. So it's basically a mix of red, green, and blue. So if you would just keep, I'm just gonna type random numbers. So let's just say this to be 100, and this is gonna be, let's put 255, and that's gonna be pink, I guess. Oh yeah, there we go. So that's pink right there. So that's how this thing works. And I'm just gonna put a red. There we go. So that's one thing what we can do. So now the next thing we're gonna be talking about is the hexadecimal or the hex right here. And let's just go ahead and do it. So first of all, what you're gonna do is you're gonna remove this. Let's go ahead and remove all this right here. Since we're not working on these, we don't need these. So yeah, let me go ahead and remove all that. And now what we want to do is we want to get the code, which I already have right here. So this is the code for it. So let's go ahead and do that. And let's go and paste it right here. So there we go. That's a red color code. So it literally shows right here. It's a red. And let's go ahead and see our output. So that works. That works the same. Let me just reload this. So that still works. That's the color red. And that's how this thing works. And now what we want to do is we want to be learning about HSL. And this is the best thing I'll say, because you can determine like the lightness or so, how much lightness you want, or the transparency kind of thing. So yeah. So let's go ahead and do like this. So let's go ahead and remove this HSL, and then we're gonna be copying this thing right here, because it matters in the percentage, so we gotta get in the percentage. So there we go. So now let's go ahead and put it. And I found this kind of color because I just want to show you guys we can customize this. So basically it's kind of this kind of color. Okay, so we can do the transparency. So if you change the transparency to like 100, let's go ahead and do 100, and there we go, it's no longer visible. So what we want to do is we want to set it to like 55, I guess. And yeah, that's a lot better. That's kind of like the same exact color. So that's how this thing works. And you can also set it if you're in VS Code. So the HSL for this is 50%, I guess. So let's go ahead and put it. Yeah, it's 50%. And now, yeah, that's the same exact color. So that's how this thing works. HSL is pretty great thing, and it's basically hue, saturation, and lightness. And yeah, now we're gonna be learning about the two things which are pretty much the same, but they also determine the transparency and stuff. So basically, the first two things, the first one of them is RGBA. Basically, the full form is red, green, blue, and alpha. So let's go ahead and copy this, or let's go ahead and write it. So basically, this is kind of like the same one which we learned before, so you can understand that. Let me just go ahead and remove that. So RGB and we, this is a normal thing we used to use, but since we are RGBA we are using, we're gonna use this thing. And there we go. So it gives us red, green, blue, and alpha. So we have to change this. So let's go ahead and do something right here. So we are gonna put this in. Let's put it 255. So this is what I'm gonna do. 255, 0, and 0, the same thing which we had right there. So let's go ahead and do it. Or we can also copy this, so it really doesn't matter. So let's go ahead and copy that. Let me go ahead and go there. And I'm gonna copy this and put it right here. So there we go. So now that works. So let's go ahead and put the ending tag for this. For some reason I deleted it. Let's go ahead and do that. And now if we go right here, it's gonna work. So there we go, that works. So, but it doesn't work the exact same color which we know before. So what we can do is we can use 0, 0, and that's gonna give us red. There we go. So that works. So that's the same exact color we were using before. And now that's basically RGBA. So the next thing we're going to be learning about is hsla, which is basically hue, saturation, lightness, and alpha. It's basically an extension of this kind of thing. It's more advanced kind of thing. But I recommend you guys, mostly we're going to use HSL most of the time, so yeah. And actually you can use these too, it really doesn't matter. So let's go ahead and write this code. So since we don't need this, we're going to remove all that. HSLA, and there we go. So let's go ahead and click that. So there we go. It gives us hue, saturation, lightness, and alpha. So we can copy the same thing we have right here. So let's go ahead and do this. And let's go ahead and paste it right here. And now there we go. So this is basically kind of like the lightness or opacity or something like that. So there we go. So hello, that works. And HSL is kind of like extension, as I said. So we can put it 50 because we want it to be that kind of red. So let's go ahead and do that. And that's the red we wanted. And that's how these colors things work. So that's it for today's video. See you in the next video. Until then, bye bye.